Yeah. We have Hurricanes head coach Gino DiMare. Gino, if you can please start with an opening statement, and then we'll go into questions.
Well, just exciting time of the year. You know, we got our last weekend series with Duke. It's flown by. I remember our last weekend series last year against Notre Dame, and I was just telling JD during practice, I just can't believe it's a year since then, and here we are. So, you know, the team is in a good position. We're playing good baseball. Banged up a little bit, but our guys have stepped up. Our players have stepped up. It hasn't been easy the way we've done it. I'm sure you've seen how we've worked our rotation, and we won a lot of rubber match games. It seems like the second half with having to throw a lot of guys. And so our guys, our pitching staff has really stepped up. The bullpen has stepped up a lot. Everybody has. With Ligon being out, and of course, you know, having Zoe. We're hoping to have Zoe this weekend, maybe in a DH role, hopefully. But you know, he's been out too during this stretch for a little while. Well, Pitt, you know, he got injured there Thursday night before the series. But exciting time, you know, playing. I feel like some of our best baseball right now, but hopefully we got more good stuff ahead of us.
Gino, this is what you envisioned, right? 6 guys with over 10 home runs in the fall. No
No,
big deal, right?
No. You know, it's hard in the fall. I was listening to you guys ask the question to the guys, but the wind blows in the fall. We don't hit a lot of home runs in the fall. We never have. The wind is different in the fall. And in the spring, the wind blows out, and we have hit a lot of home runs this year. I would never have guessed that. Although we do have a lot of guys with power. We would have hit a lot more if Zoe was in the lineup all year long. Great coaching on my part, not having him in the lineup for most of the season, but he, because he's got as much power as anybody on our team, and he just hasn't had a lot of at-bats. But so yeah, and the ballpark is suited for us. You know, we have some guys that you know, we've hit probably. I know Josh has told me over 50% of our runs scored this year have been by the home run. Most of our games are played here, although we have hit quite a few home runs on the road too.
How big is this weekend?
It's big from a standpoint that we want to keep playing good baseball. I know I heard the guys saying, I mentioned it to them, I want them to know, you know, look, if we win our side of the division, we get to be the number 2 seed. Even if Clemson is ahead of us, they need to know how all this works, because it is a little tricky how we do our pool play, so to speak, conference tournaments, different than most. So if we're the top seed, I just got an email last night on the bus ride back from FIU. So did Virginia, and so did Duke. And it was the same question. You guys win the Coastal, which day do you want to have off? Right. So it basically shows you if you want this day off, then these are the days you're going to play. And you're setting it up for your pitching, basically. And for us, that's a big thing because of how our pitching has had to go this year. So it's big from that standpoint, but really Virginia would be in control of it, because if they sweep, they're automatically going to be the Coastal Division champions. They're half game ahead of us, I guess. Tied, but they got the tiebreaker with the sweep on us. So I just want to play good baseball. You know, I felt like we played arguably our best series at a really pressured time last year. This series against Notre Dame last year. You know, we beat them, and we faltered after that. And Notre Dame went on to go to the World Series. So you can't put all of it into this weekend. I just want to make sure we're still playing good baseball. Just continue to keep doing that.
You led me into the next question about the pitching staff, because you hit so many home runs and you scored so many runs. Does that give your pitchers more confidence, or?
I think it gives the entire team more confidence. There's no doubt about it. This game, we always talk about there's no clock in terms of the innings. There is a clock now. There are clocks now with the pitchers and the hitters. I always have to throw that in there, but there is no clock. The game's never over. So, you know, last night we played FIU and the score was 6-3 after 5 innings. And we scored 11 runs after that from the 6th inning on. And that's what can happen when you have power. You can get runs in bursts. You can get a lot of them quickly. They actually hit 3 home runs last night. They were all solo shots. It seems like a lot of our home runs have come with a lot of guys on base. Dom Patelli, I'm sitting there thinking today, I think he's hit 4 career grand slams now. 2 against this team we're playing this weekend, but I don't want to tell Dom that, but he's hit 2 this year. But yeah, we've had some big home runs in big situations with guys on base, and so we scored a lot of runs in bursts. So that's important. But yeah, I think our pitchers and our entire team knows we have confidence to be able to do that at any time.
Coach, with last night with Rosario throwing, was that more of a bullpen session, or are you going to still start him, or are you still looking, or maybe that'll be his role?
We're possibly looking at factors of both, being flexible to be able to do both. We're only probably naming the Thursday starter, our game 1 starter, as is Duke, by the way. And we don't know. We're going to see how each game unfolds and who's available, and that's how we're going to work it for right now anyway. So he will be available to possibly start this weekend, but we don't know that. He can also come out of the bullpen. It's just all going to depend on how that game that you're playing, starting on Thursday, comes about, and how we dictate how we use our pitchers. That's going to change everything for the rest of the weekend.
You have an update on Ligon? You said last week he might have thrown or started.
Yeah. He threw his first bullpen yesterday, and he will throw live probably Friday, not in the game, in a simulated with some hitters out here before, early work. So he'll do that, and that'll really tell us where he's at, because he's got to feel good then. If he doesn't, there's not much season to be played left. We're not going to bring him back to throw an inning or two, and this guy needs to be built up, being a starter. That takes time to do that. You can't just do that in one outing. It's going to have to take this Friday and then put him in a game maybe in the ACC tournament, or if not, another simulated game, crank up the innings, and then, of course, you got regionals, and if he was able to go, he might be good for maybe 4 innings. So that's how it's got to go. But if it doesn't go well in this Friday bullpen or simulated game, there could be a chance he doesn't pitch the rest of the year.
The simulated game today, or Friday, how many innings or how many batters?
Yeah, it'll be on a pitch count deal, and so it'll probably be 2 innings worth, maybe 30 pitches, something like that. Yeah, 30, 40 pitches.
And how did you look at the bullpen?
Well, his bullpens have not ever been very, let's just say he's always 60%, 50% when he throws them. So this one, JD felt like was one of his better bullpens of the year. Having said that, it was probably 70%, so that's why we can't ask him to go into a game against Duke and throw. You need to be full throttle and ready to go. So that's where this simulated game on Friday is going to tell us a lot.
And then with Jacoby in the lineup, I mean, he's done well in his spot times throughout the year, but just what have you seen these few games that he's been able to be in there?
Well, it's my kind of player in terms of I love speed, and I wish we have speed, but the guys utilize it the right way. He actually does. He's laid down some bunts, safety bunts, drag bunts, push bunts. He's our best outfielder. Him and Dario are our 2 best outfielders. That's why they're out there late in the game, even when they weren't starting. He's just a dynamic player. If he can swing the bat consistently, stay in the lineup, basically get on base. That's what he needs to do. He needs to get on base, and he's doing that. He's hitting home runs. He's getting some hits. He's bunting. He's walking. He's getting on base. As long as he does that, he'll continue to play.
What about the development of Carlos Perez? Somebody who backed up his first 2 seasons, now in an 8-game hitting streak. What have you seen from Carlos in the season?
Well, he's been healthy. His first 2 years, he got hurt. And last year was unfortunately right before the season started. He broke his finger, so that set him back half the year. And then, as a hitter, you don't face pitching for half the year, and then he comes back. He wasn't the same, and he was really good in our scrimmages. One of our better hitters for both years. So I'd like to see him swing the bat better from an average standpoint, even though he is swinging okay. He's certainly got the home runs to show for it. I'd like to see him swing the bat better and runners in scoring position and things like that, because I know he's a better hitter because I've seen it in our scrimmages. But his number 1 priority is defense. That's the number 1 thing he brings to the table for us, is the handling of the pitchers and the receiving and the blocking. And I always say this about catchers: if you're not saying much about them, that means they're doing a heck of a job back there. They go unnoticed because there's nothing happening bad back there. And so he's done a great job from that standpoint, and we've leaned on him a lot. We've caught him a lot. He's been banged up a little bit back there, but he's battled through it, and so yeah, he's been great for us this year.
This season, Miami's always normally a very good team at this building. You guys are 26-4. What has it been that's given you so much success at the beginning of this season?
I wish I knew that. I don't know if I can say exactly. I mean, we've probably need to look at how many runs we've scored in here and what we average, because we're averaging close to 8 runs a game. After last night, we probably are averaging 8 runs a game, but I would say probably in this ballpark, our guys are comfortable. Again, it might be the same for everybody, but our guys are comfortable here. We're practicing here. Obviously, we've hit the long ball here quite a bit. The wind's blown out quite a bit, but not every game. We've hit some home runs with the wind blowing in too, so it's been a strange deal. But I don't have one thing I can say that is why we're playing as well as we have this year here. But it would be a benefit if we could be here, no doubt, in the playoffs. That would help.
Just out of curiosity, on the road, you guys played some very tough teams on the road to open
Yeah.
the season, but you ended the year after not playing an ACC game on the road until April, winning your last 3 road series. Was there a moment that kind of flipped things on the road for you guys?
Well, the Virginia sweep against us was not, we met when we came back. Monday was off, but we met on Tuesday, and it was a good meeting, let's just say that. I thought it was a very good meeting with the players, and I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it, but I do feel like we've played better baseball. You're right, on the road we've played the Florida and Wake Forest and Virginia, all good teams, but we didn't play good. We didn't play good. We didn't pitch good in some of those games. I could go back and say, Gabe Zeal threw outstanding against Wake Forest. We left like 15 guys on base. We couldn't score any runs. Carson Ligon did not throw good in the game that he threw. He had no chance. He didn't throw good. We lost another 4-1 game where we didn't get any big hits, and they're a very good team. So if you're going to beat a team like that, which is what you're going to have to do to get to this thing, you've got to play your best baseball, and that's what you're trying to do. And of course, I think we're, like any team, you kind of go through ups and downs throughout the year. If I was to compare last year, I don't like doing a whole lot of that, but last year's team was really good during the middle part of the season. Our team was really good. And at the end, we were good, but we weren't playing as good as we were during the middle part of the season. We were playing really, really hot. So, our goal has always been, and we said it from day one before we started the season, is we want to be the hottest team at the end of the season, playing our best baseball. And that's hopefully something that's still to come.
With Carson Ligon being out, can you tell us what the injury is, when it happened,
Sure.
and just his psyche through
Yeah.
it all?
Well, it happened earlier in the year in terms of it's nothing structural. We've had an MRI. Doctors looked at it. No surgery needed. If that was the case, he would have had it already. He's got inflammation in his arm. He's got inflammation. So there's some soreness there. Usually it's after he throws. Not when he throws, but after. So that's when he pitches. Usually you give him, you want to catch the next day. Play a light toss. Doesn't feel good. And then another day, okay, a little light toss. Take a day off, and then and then you work your way to your bullpen session, which is usually like 3 days before the start. And that's why I was saying to you earlier, his bullpens were always just not a lot in him. He just couldn't get them. He would always feel good when he started, but it would take that long, the whole week, to get there. So his recovery basically is what has been the issue, recovering from his starts. So we've done a lot of different things. One thing that's been helping is the massages. We've kind of tried to stay away from where the inflammation is, but now that they've been getting right in there on it, and although it's painful, the next day or after, he has felt a lot better. So that's something that's been kind of positive for us. But at the end of the day, it's a pitcher's arm. You just never know in our sport. So we'll see how everything transpires here on Friday.
You talked about, one more, you talked about shuffling guys in the pitching rotation.
Yeah.
Which guys have you seen that have really improved this season and that you can instill some confidence in this postseason?
Well, Zeal started out as our Friday guy, our number one, deservingly so because of how he pitched in the inter squads, and then he struggled his first few starts there coming out of the gate, so we flipped him at Ligon. But then he kind of came back, and he's been a guy that the reason really we put him in the Friday spots because mentally he's, I think, one of the tougher guys on our team mentally. He can handle adversity, which is a big part of our sport. It's certainly a big part of being a pitcher. So he's been our guy, and he's done a good job. And then after that, the guys that have really pitched well for us, the most obvious is Walters, of course. Walters, to me, is the best closer in the country, and he's gotten better. His secondary stuff has gotten better. He came back to get better, develop his secondary stuff, and he has. Guys that I think have really stepped up, especially with Ligon being down, and really, we leaned on a lot. Guys that come to mind is Carlos Lecarica, out of the pen, we've gone to him quite a bit. Alejandro Torres, of course. Ben Chestnut on the right-handed side. A guy that I know I think very highly of, and so does a lot of other people. If you asked all our hitters, which I did, by the way, at the end of the fall, who are the toughest pitchers? I do that with the pitchers, too. Who are the toughest hitters you had to face? And I asked the hitters who are the toughest pitchers you had to face, and almost all of them said Rafe Schlesinger. And it's funny, Joe Girardi was at the game last night. His son plays for FIU, and I guess he saw somebody, JD, or maybe after the game, so that's the best pitcher we saw. I think we only brought him in for 2 innings. So the best pitcher we saw all year, was Ray Schlesinger. Rafe has tinkered with his arm slot. We got to get him consistent where his arm is. If he can do that, he can really, really help us because we need that. We don't have a lot of lefties. Chris Sinta's helped us as a freshman, but Rafe is a sophomore kid. He's a highly touted recruit out of high school. And he's got a great arm, and one that hopefully can help us here down the stretch. It's always interesting down the stretches, guys that can step up. Maybe a Jacoby Long can be that guy for us, but maybe Ray Schlesinger also as well. And there's other pitchers as well. We need Alejandro Rosario. There's no doubt. We all know that. We need him to pitch well for us, whether he starts or he comes out of the pen. If we're going to be successful, especially minus Ligon, we're going to need him and all the other guys. And that's what we've done to be where we're at right now, this second half. Guys have stepped up. It's been a total team effort, and a lot of it is the bullpen.
We'll do a couple more for Gino.
Just want to ask you, challenges of facing Duke, kind of things they do well for you guys to win this series?
I haven't watched a whole lot of them. Our coaches are watching them right now. You know, it's the whole thing. You're getting ready. Baseball, it's funny how you get ready for Pitt, you turn around, okay, FIU, and then boom, you got Duke, and you don't have a lot of time to get ready. But one of the things I noticed that they're unique is they don't go with their starters a whole lot long. They usually a couple innings, and they're out of there, and their starters are good. But their bullpen, I hear, is even better. They get stronger as they bring guys in. So they have a lot of depth in their bullpen. So we're going to have to do a good job of adjusting to pitchers as they come. They bringing them in. You might see a different pitcher every time you come up. That makes it hard, especially if they're really talented, which they have. They do have some home run guys, so they're kind of similar maybe with us in terms of they got some guys that are big and strong and can hit the ball out of the ballpark. And they do have a lot of righties in their lineup, as do we. They got a lot of righties, right-handed hitters on their team. So there's some similarities there.
With so many big things coming up, ACC tournaments next week, regionals are 2 weeks after, what's the key to making sure that these guys take it one game at a time this weekend to at least win the Coast?
Well, yeah, you can't get ahead of yourself. There's no doubt. You cannot get ahead of yourself. We need to focus on Duke. And like I said, I want to play good baseball. Whether that means we're the 2 seed or the 4 seed or whatever it is what it is. You can't control that. So we'll just make sure we're playing good baseball. Definitely don't get ahead of ourselves. I want to see us play good in the ACC tournament. There is absolutely going to be an emphasis on that on my end because we haven't the last few years. I do not want to go in the regional, not playing good baseball, coming out of the ACC tournament. And that's the bottom line, you know. And again, it's going to be a lot of talk about last year in terms of, this is what I bring up last year, of how the season ended. I want to make sure them guys continue to remember exactly how we felt sitting here watching ultimately the national championship with team win it, but we had the lead late in both games, and we lost them by 1 run. You would have thought the end of the world came crashing down on us, but I want to make sure everybody remembers that.
Awesome. Thank you, Gino.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.